I thought he contributed an outstanding performance. He has the persona of a madman down to perfection, I would say. Well, he seems to have now been typecast into roles as either, well, eccentric womanizers or madmen. But I suppose The Shining, which was relatively early in his career, it did prove to audiences that he was very good at this kind of thing.
As a note, actually, I remember seeing a role with him in it as a crazy guy as far back as a black and white Roger Corman piece.
Oh.
Where he just played a guy who liked to eat flowers.
Didn't know he was active for that long.
Oh, apparently so, since he was pretty young. But I guess that's the problem with Jack Nicholson, is that he does have that crazy part down. But and maybe it's just that sort of retrospect, you're looking back at him, you always expect him to be crazy, maybe that's coloring it. But I kept getting that tense feeling off of him the entire film, like he was going to go crazy the entire time. He had that, even at that interview where he was supposed to be about as quiet and pleasant as he could be in the entire film, he had that sort of ready to strike look to him.
So, do you suppose he pulled up, he performed as a madman all too well? Is that what you're saying?
That's basically what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think actually what's funny is that his most human, the most empathetic part where you empathized with him the most was when he was about halfway there. That scene where he's sitting Danny on his lap and just trying to have a quiet moment with him, even though he's pretty much crazy. And that was I think the best part of the film for me in some strange way.
Yeah, that was very compelling. Yeah. And leading on from that, I would say that Nicholson's Jack Torrance would seem to hold more moral complexities than you normally see in, I suppose, slasher villains, if you can call The Shining a slasher movie.
I was even going to suggest that you could, and so I'm glad you actually think that too. But yeah, and I would very much agree with that assessment that they did manage to make him seem like a human, despite the fact that he did seem very much on edge the entire time.
Well, I was actually quite alarmed and also very impressed by the fact that it really does seem as if Jack resents himself for loving his son. I suppose it's a startling character element, but it was handled exceedingly well, and it was very interesting to watch him essentially fume and grumble over his love for Danny. I'd do everything for him, that son of a bitch. I thought that was chilling.
Yeah, and that's part of it, is that whether it's a psychological thing or a supernatural thing, nothing was being exploited there in driving Jack crazy that wasn't there to begin with, to some degree. And part of that was that strange resentment towards either his responsibility or his own love, something holding him down. He feels with his family. And that just sort of blows into a chasing them with an axe, but yeah, there it goes.
I just have to ask this. Do you know of the website called angryalien.com?
I do.
Have you seen the 30-second reenactment of The Shining?
Yeah, I think, I did. That was a good one.
I have also heard that there was, in fact, a remake, so to speak, of The Shining, released, I think, in the late 90s.
Television.
Sorry?
Sorry, I was just saying a television one, yeah.
I believe it was actually penned, the screenplay was penned by King. Does that sound right?
Yes, it does. Actually, my first exposure to The Shining was in hazy memories of that very miniseries. And by all accounts, it was pretty bad. but I thought it had, from what little I remember, some compelling work to it. In some ways, though, it just ripped off the previous movie a little too much.
But did it end with the detonation of the hotel, as with the book?
Yeah, that's the thing. I only saw a bit of it, so I don't actually know.
Oh.
At some point I might actually want to track that down, just because I have a high tolerance for the made-for-TV movie badness.
Well, I'm on that note. I'm actually very fond of a telemovie adaptation of Salem's Lot. My aunt gave the DVD to me as a Christmas present. Have you heard of that one?
I've heard of it vaguely, but I don't think I ever saw it.
It's very good. I would recommend it to you.
Thanks. Here's another one to look at, by the way, with character Shelley Duvall as Wendy Torrance. What did you think of her?
Her performance is is quite believable. Say,
Right.
she is very very realistic. Whenever threatened by Jack or encountering, say, supernatural problems. But I suppose the scenes in which she was just interacting with Danny came across as slightly limp. So I suppose I wanted more within those. She didn't seem to portray, I suppose, a loving mother as well as I would have liked.
It seems a bit superficial there, yeah.
Yes.
But that is funny. I hate to say it, but Miss Duvall has a face that God obviously made to panic. so she did manage to play scared as well as Jack play crazy in a way. And that was effective, because if it had just been your typical run actress, would not have worked.
Yeah.
And I guess as for Danny, the only thing I can say about Danny myself is that that kid is a little MacGyver. I mean, if I'm ever in trouble, I want that grown up, whoever he grew up to be, in my corner. He actually, while being chased by a madman, retraces his steps, cleans off the snow, and hides. He beats a crazy madman with a axe while his mother is panicking at furries.
Well, the actor Danny Lloyd, I think he's actually a school teacher now. He's only ever had a couple of other film credits.
I'm frankly glad to hear that, because a lot of times kids just don't end up very well in Hollywood.
Well, perhaps I won't go there. Although, well, Push does look reasonably good. It
was reasonable.
Oh, you've seen it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It stars, I think, Dakota Fanning.
Mm-hmm.
Was it? Well, how good was it? Just to go on a slight detour. Okay.
Okay. It was. I wouldn't say it was a great film, but in some ways it was quite good. It managed to be pretty confusing in a lot of ways, because there were time elements, there was telling the future, there was mind alteration, stuff like that. But it was as coherent as it could be, and the characters were all very compelling.
Good.
So I was entertained, though it could make you feel a bit weary, I guess would be the word.